And I also want to say that documentary was very triggering for me, for somebody who worked with Wendy Williams for 3 years.
Which part?
Because I saw people saying the dementia was causing her to talk to people like that. No.
You got to talk to like
y'all
that?
shut the hell up, because y'all don't know what y'all talking about. They ain't got nothing to do with the dementia. Those were the moments I was like, that's Wendy.
That's Wendy.
Okay. Those are the moments where I was like, there go Wendy.
Did she ever tell you to get liposuction?
No, she ain't never told me to get liposuction.
No.
But that's what Will was saying, though. Will was saying, like, nah, that's her. He said that. Like, nah, that's Wendy. You can't blame all of that on dementia. No.
None of that was dementia. I saw that, how long ago I used to work with them?
Years
06
ago.
to 09?
Years ago.
That was Wendy. And I write about this in my first book. The first time I met Wendy, she told me, get the F out this studio and take that mixtape to her husband. She's in here trying to do her show. She was at Hot 103.9 in Columbia, South Carolina, and I was trying to give her some mixtapes. That documentary was definitely a roller coaster ride, because there was moments in that documentary where Wendy Williams is still a very entertaining personality that we all knew and loved. Okay, I laughed quite a few times.
Yeah, but you don't want to see that. You don't want to see go get liposuction, go eat your.
But you got to understand, I saw a lot of that up close in person.
Me too.
So when I saw her say that to the girl, I was laughing because I was like, that was Wendy.
Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. We are heading into episode 3 of Where is Wendy Williams? The segment you just watched was not in the documentary. I pulled the clip from a radio show, and we are listening to a former colleague of Wendy's alleging that Wendy has always been a bully and essentially a snarky bitch. A couple of thoughts around this are, number 1, he said he knew Wendy starting in 2006, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Wendy was already dealing with Graves' disease at this point in time. But also, it's likely that she was always using and abusing drugs or alcohol, so potentially her personality was being affected by that. Number 2, it's a shame that the environment Wendy was in allowed for this kind of interaction and abuse behind the scenes. We all knew Wendy was brash and outspoken on stage, but it's really unfortunate that she wasn't held accountable for being professional behind the scenes. It was a work environment. Moving into episode 3. This part of the documentary is all about the snakes in the grass surrounding Wendy, and the specific snake it focuses on is a woman named Shan Zenat.
My concerns are just who these people are that are around her. What are they promising her?
Let's take a look at who Shan Zenat really is. So, as of right now, Shan Zenat presents herself as a publicist and has a small following of about 30,000 followers on her social media platform, Instagram. Shan's bio reads like this: Shan Zenat is a remarkable CEO and writer who has made a significant impact on the business and publishing industries. She is the founder and CEO of Exact, which consists of Exact Publicity, Exact Entertainment, and Exact Sports Management, where she has introduced innovative strategies and promoted growth. Zenat is a celebrated author, having written the influential book Embracing the Rock in Your Journey and co-authored the best-selling work Shift. Her influence goes beyond her professional accomplishments as she embodies resilience and compassion. I will say she was pretty resilient when Wendy was like verbally abusing her, calling her fat, and telling her to get liposuction. She hung in there. Her ability to craft engaging characters and thought-provoking narratives is a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. So she has written about 3 books. None of them are bestsellers, but as she said, she did co-author a book that was a bestseller. Shan Zenat's persona adds an air of mystery to her already captivating storytelling, further enhancing the allure of her work, which continues to captivate and resonate with audiences worldwide. So obviously, this is written by Shan and very positive when it comes to presenting who she really is. However, in the background, especially following the documentary, lots of people are asking some pretty pointed questions about Shan Zenat. Let's take a look, and then we'll get back into what actually happened in the documentary with Shan. first, I want to give you a look at what Shan Zenat was doing both before and after Wendy Williams.
Speaking of Ike, what's out there publicly about him, especially Tina, the new documentary that has just been released on HBO Max. I watched that just preparing for this interview with you.
So before Wendy, Zenat really dedicated a lot of her time to writing and publishing these books herself, and then doing a podcast called The Journey. And here we see Shan talking to someone about Ike Turner. It's really interesting because we all know that Ike abused Tina, very much so. And Zenat is asking us to look at the other side of the story, the fact that Ike was, I guess, a good person in other ways.
And in that documentary, Tina spoke heavily about, she said, quote unquote, it just wasn't a good life, and that she described in detail how he would abuse her or do these things to her, but that she loved her family. She loved her children. What was his personality like? My condolences. I know that he has since passed away.
Yes.
But can you take the world into his world, into who
Okay,
Ike Turner is?
Ike was a wonderful guy. Ike was paying rent for people. I give people a break. Actually, he got Tina a break. I mean, everybody talk bad about Ike. But what Tina will do with Ike? Ike is the one who give him the beginning,
Yes, I don't really understand what Zenat's purpose was to go down this rabbit hole about Ike Turner, but it was a part of her podcast before she met and worked with Wendy. Now let's take a look at what Zenat is doing after her time with Wendy.
So is it any of our business what the president eats? What do you say?
I say, yes, it is. This is very concerning to me. At the end of the day, he is the president of the United States. This is the leader of the country. So he should be leading by example for the world and for himself. You know, I would be thinking that he would be eating vegetables and having a balanced diet.
Right. So this is the most recent interview I can find with Zenat. Obviously, she's appearing on news broadcasts, you know, still trying to break into the industry. I do think there's a clear-cut situation going on, and you can hear my puppy crying a little bit in the background. We've got some visitors doing some work on the house, and he'll be with me crying and growling here and there. But anyway, what we see with Zenat is someone who clearly wanted to break into the entertainment industry as much as possible. And she was using Wendy as a stepping stone for all of that. Now, since the documentary has come out, Shan has been letting all of us know she's not happy with the project.
Girl, what? You're the one that got her the deal. What are you talking about? You feel lied to, and this isn't the story that you signed up for. You got her the deal and how she would be mortified. You should be mortified. You guys humiliated this woman throughout that entire documentary. It was so disturbing to even watch. Now you're saying when you go back and watch it, you're disgusted and all of this other stuff. Honey, this was your doing.
Y'all gotta get in here and see this. According to the Jasmine brand, Wendy Williams has fired her manager, Will Selby, and her publicist, Shan Zenat. This actually makes me very happy because they did not have her best interests at heart. Let's get into the tea. Per this post from the Jasmine brand, it says, according to reports, daytime TV icon Wendy Williams has ended her professional relationships with manager Will Selby and publicist Shan Zenat. They were both featured prominently alongside the former talk show host in her controversial Lifetime documentary. Now, while it has been speculated that Shan Zenat has been absent from the picture for some time, sources suggest that Wendy Williams' jeweler turned manager Will was also let go. Now, a source from Wendy Williams' camp recently shared Will initially had remained involved in Wendy's care, and he is one of the few people who knows where she is, but is no longer working with her. Now, things begin to get a little bit sticky because according to a statement Will made on February 22nd, which was just like 6 days ago, he claims that he's still representing Wendy. Now, this is indicating that he was recently let go, like as of this week let go. As for Shan, it's looking like she hasn't been in the picture for about a year. I think they were really irritated with her when she took Wendy all the way to LA to go meet with NBC Universal.
Okay, so here now I've given you a ton of information about what's going on with Shan Zenat now, how she's been fired by Wendy, how she has kind of a weird history. But you, those of you who haven't watched the documentary, you need to know what Shan did in this documentary that set everyone ablaze about her role in Wendy's life.
I can't be here every day. I just want to make sure that my aunt, my godmother, is okay and that she's in good hands when I'm not here.
During filming, Shan Zenat identifies herself as Wendy's publicist. And one of the first clues we have that all is not well in paradise is that Wendy's niece, whom she's very close with, ends up visiting Wendy in New York. She has a lot of suspicions about what's going on with Shan Zenat and her aunt.
Hey, good, what's going on? How are you? Yeah, there's a lot happening.
Then in the very next scene, we find out that Shan and Wendy have flown the coop together. Like, they've left New York, gotten on a plane using Shan's credit card because Wendy doesn't have any money right now. Like, all her money is being managed by everyone around her. And they've flown off to LA to try to get Wendy Williams a TV show.
This is crazy.
Hi.
What's up, Wendy?
They didn't let anyone know they were doing this, and everyone is scrambling around. Even the Guardian is like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, a part of the guardianship is that they are supposed to know and, okay whether or not Wendy can go and do these things.
Well, I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, when are you coming back?
3 weeks.
Are you serious?
Will, Wendy's manager, is freaking out because they have a whole timeline of events that are going on. Like, he expects to see Wendy that evening at 4 p.m. for some kind of an appointment. And Wendy has just completely blown everyone off, left the state, and God knows what is happening with her. I mean, she's not even very mobile. Mental health-wise, she's not doing very well. And Shan has just flown all the way across the country with her.
So I flew with the black girl.
Who? Sean, so Sean came to get you?
Yep. She
Okay.
came and then she took care of the flying because, I didn't have a credit card.
You could tell these people are like, this is unreal. We trusted this quote unquote publicist to help us with Wendy, and she's like basically kidnapped her.
Sean's calling me now. And can you just tell me the truth, please?
She called me and told me that she did not have any food, that she had asked you and you didn't bring it to her. She had to get out of there. She said, I'm crying, please come now. Like,
Wow. So now Shan is going to give Will and this Guardian like a whole sob story about how like this just came out of nowhere. Wendy basically says she was being abused and she needed to get away from you. And I just did what I thought I had to do, which is a load of shit. Because we know from an earlier episode, we saw Wendy and Shan sitting down on the couch and planning this whole trip out. Wendy was like, can you get those tickets for me? We got to go to California and you need to get some liposuction. I mean, this has all been planned ahead of time. So how is it possible that, I had to do it because she said out of nowhere, like you weren't feeding her. And it didn't occur to me like I could just get her some food. The only way I can get her food is to fly her to Los Angeles, California and get her on a TV show.
belligerently.
Okay, at no point did you think to mention it to me?
She asked me to bring her and not to say anything, Will. She is telling me that she is petrified.
It doesn't matter. She should be petrified because she knows she has no business in LA.
Now here you might think that Will is scared that potentially Shan is going to take over his job, or like he really wants Wendy for himself. He's using her in his own way. I mean, I have to be honest with you. That's not the feeling I got from the rest of the documentary. I really felt like, Will has some kind of weird relationship with Wendy. Yes, obviously there's something he's getting out of it. For sure, that's going to be the case. But I didn't get the feeling that he was specifically trying to use her or push her into all of these different projects. It really felt like out of everyone that we see other than the family, Will is the most level-headed and actually constantly pushing Wendy to be with her family. Will has a lot of good things to say about Wendy's son, about Wendy's sister, about Wendy's father, and really tries to push Wendy to spend time with them. So my feeling here is that he is really concerned that Wendy is not mentally fit to be going out to LA and interviewing with people, and that Shan is basically going to destroy any chance Wendy would ever have in the future of maybe getting to a point where she could be respected again, or that people wouldn't be asking all these questions about her mental health. He feels like this is wrong for Wendy.
She needs to get her ass back here right now. And then me and you need to have a conversation separately, because we need to figure out what's going on, because I can't believe that you would even do this behind my back, honestly.
Shan continues to take no responsibility whatsoever for any of this, acting like this came out of nowhere. I don't even know what's going on. I just did what you told me to do, which again is a load of shit, because Shan has set up an appointment, an interview with a big TV channel. I think it's NBC. We'll find out later. And she's trying to get Wendy a new show. Wait until you see what happens.
Gosh, I have to go to the bathroom. She looks so pretty, and her eyes, the way you did her eyes are so, I love them.
So Wendy and Shan proceed to completely ignore Will and the guardianship. They don't give a rat's ass, what anybody has to say. They are out in LA and doing some weird shit. Let's get down to it. So first and foremost, Shan takes her out to Rodeo Drive, and for some reason they want to go find her star on the Walk of Fame and just take some pictures with it.
So this meeting today, for a talk show?
Yeah.
NBC Universal.
NBC. But they have to understand, it can't be here in Miami. It's got to be in New York, New York.
Where are we today?
In California.
Right.
Okay, so many things going on here. First, Wendy looks wobbly, like really having difficulty getting around and getting into the car. We know that she has mobility issues, but here we have Shan, like really the only one helping her. In New York, we've always seen that Wendy has bodyguards and other people with her helping her get around. So I think one big issue that we're seeing here with Shan is like she really didn't plan this out for the best possible scenario for Wendy to be at her best if she's actually going to go to a network and try to sell herself. Secondly, we've got Shan driving Wendy around LA, and Wendy's in the back seat talking about how like the show can't be in Miami. I can't do it here in Miami. And the producers have to ask her, they're like, are you in Miami right now? She's clearly confused, and yet they are on their way to meet with big producers at NBC.
Her trip to LA, it just seems so bootleg. I am worried about her health. I do feel at times that she's being pushed to do too much.
Wendy's family also speaks out about the LA trip, and they're like, this was not it. This was not the way to go. Alex describes it as bootleg. Like, this was not a professional way to present Wendy to Hollywood. And people are just really concerned about what Shan was doing and why she chose to do things in this kind of way.
But Shan taking her to LA is way out of bounds.
You mean Shan?
A few weeks ago. How many hours ago?
Many hours ago.
In New York.
As we watch Shan drive Wendy through the streets of LA with the camera crew, it's clear Wendy is confused. And Shan is just brushing it off because really what choice does she have at this point in time?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been working with her though for over a year, just so you know.
And when I met her, at first I was like, I told Will, what the does she have to do?
I mean, again, Wendy is being an asshole to Shan, but what we clearly see is someone who looks like they're dealing with dementia. She's confused and she's being a dick at the same time. And it just seems so wrong to be driving her through the streets of LA for an interview with NBC.
Will never screams until recently. Screaming at me. Screaming at Zenat. Screaming. And by the way, I want a new manager. Immediately.
So here's where Wendy and Shan are going to get to the crux of what they're up to. Wendy is not happy with the fact that Will is kind of taking a stance of like, no alcohol, you need to act appropriately, like we need to get everything under control in this apartment. She doesn't like any of that. She does not, much like she doesn't like following the rules that her family set forth for her when she was living down in Miami. And the rules really consisted of no alcohol. So she's turned everything around, she's manipulating, and she's saying like Will's abusive and I need a new manager. And guess who's there to step in?
Do you want to be her manager?
I mean, I'm her publicist, but I guess essentially I am kind of doing managerial things at this point too.
I just want to try a new direction with Universal and a new manager.
Here's what's going on. Wendy has made it clear to everyone, and especially to the camera crew, that she wants a TV show. She wants to get back on TV. She wants more money, more fame, more fortune. She's bored. She doesn't like her life as it is. And she wants things that she's not really ready for because her health, mentally and physically, it isn't there, but she's not willing to accept that. So this is what she's up to. She's trying to push Will out of the way and just grab onto anyone who's going to tell her what she wants to hear, which is that she's ready to have a TV show. And that's what Shan is up to in this episode. Before they go to Wendy's interview, Shan is going to take Wendy to take a look at her star on the Walk of Fame.
Why did you want to see your star today?
Because that's part of what I'm supposed to be doing.
What did it mean to have a star on the Walk of Fame?
Everything. It'll be there forever.
Wendy is really excited to get out there and take a look at her star, again impressing upon us that fame is really important to Wendy and she misses it greatly. Even though she's still recognized, it's like it's not enough for her. She needs to have the attention from many people around her day in, day out to fill this huge hole she seems to have in her life. And she never gets filled up.
Noticed. I love putting this down and hoping that somebody knows exactly who I am. I love being famous.
Everywhere we go here, I mean, people are taking pictures of her.
I don't know, but to me it seems like Shan loves it an awful lot too. Like she's hoping to get a little bit of that fame rubbing off on her and eventually usurping Wendy's position on that Walk of Fame. Shan is really into this. I don't want to be horribly negative about Shan because, I mean, this is part of the Hollywood world, I would assume, is like trying to build yourself up, trying to get the next big client, doing everything to push your client to have good contracts. So, I mean, you can only say so much about what's going on here, but clearly Wendy had a few people back in New York who were trying to keep her health in mind, and it doesn't seem like Shan is doing that at all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Regardless of how effed up this all is, I mean, I do like seeing Wendy smile. She's clearly never happier than when she's being adored by fans, and she does light up and almost seem more with it when these strangers are coming up and speaking to her.
What are you drinking?
Grey Goose.
Now here's the next problem we're dealing with when it comes to Shan out in California. Shan has no ability or desire to stand up to Wendy and do what's best for her. So immediately, before they go out for the interview, Shan takes Wendy out for lunch. We don't see Wendy eating anything, but we definitely see her drinking an awful lot.
Thank you for setting up Universal Pictures.
You're welcome.
Denial isn't just a river in Egypt. Shan is the queen of pretending like nothing's wrong because what she wants is that ching-ching, that fame, that money, and she'll do whatever she can to push Wendy back into the spotlight and, get some of that shine to rub off on her as well.
I'm glad I can show Universal Pictures my feet. This is lymphedema, and I can only feel now 2%.
Now, I find this part really interesting and it kind of touches me in a positive way. Basically, Wendy spent some time talking about how her whole vision with this show is to be able to be the real Wendy Williams. I think she actually says she wants to be called Wendy Hunter. And that she wants to be able to show people who she really is by showing her feet, her lymphedema, by wearing the kinds of clothes she wants to wear, sort of insinuating that her last TV show was too controlling and like toned her down an awful lot. And she even says that she wants to rip off her wig and go on stage without wearing a wig and just present herself as she truly is. And I really find this concept interesting and something I would be interested in. But obviously, Wendy needs to be taken care of on a pretty major level. She needs help before she can really go anywhere with a vision like this.
No matter where she is, in New York, LA, she should not be drinking. I need to get her back to New York. Plain and simple. That's it. She shouldn't be drinking.
Additional drinking takes place, and additional pretending like nothing's wrong on Shan's part also takes place before Shan eventually ends up driving her to the real interview.
Wendy, would you want to go to the Oscars?
Oscars?
Yeah. This weekend?
What's Oscars?
This is crazy. On the way to the interview, like, Shan's making small talk, but also trying to like talk things up. Like, hey, Wendy, it looks like I just got a phone call. Do you think you might want to go to the Oscars this weekend? And Wendy is literally like, what's that? Like, it backfires on Shan. She wants to show to the cameras that she's some kind of amazing publicist and potential manager for Wendy. And instead, Wendy is making everyone know, like, she's not okay. And it's clear. And Shan is just brushing it off and trying to cover it up.
And to me, quite frankly, it's despicable. It's despicable that you would take her into a meeting. Come on.
Obviously, the majority of the audience is going to totally agree with Alex. I mean, we literally see they are driving to this interview, to this appointment, and Wendy is completely confused. And Shan has no concern about that. She doesn't care about Wendy, not at all.
Handle going into a major network, and they say, what's changed about her brain? What's changed about her behavior?
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's something we're going to address if that happens or they ask that, because to be fair, I don't know the answers to that question. This is not me trying to spin something. I don't know.
Yes. Well, despite all of this, the many, many obstacles we all in the audience see going on here, according to Shan and Wendy, the interview went great.
That meeting was amazing.
It went really well. We expected men to be there.
Yeah.
And they were all women.
All women.
Well, while it's good to hear that women are in these kinds of positions of power within NBC, unfortunately, even though, according to Wendy, everything went great and she's going to get her TV show, nothing ever materializes at all from this interview. And Wendy, she lets Shan know that she's ready to go home. It doesn't sound like this girl is interested in the Oscars. Wendy just really wanted to have another TV show, and Shan made her think that that was possible.
And then I took off my boots and showed my feet. They were like, wow.
It was very much so that people are ready to see her back on TV, and that they were ready to see her back on TV too. So they'll get back to us next week.
So, of course, nothing really comes of this interview, and Shan and Wendy head back home to New York. Not surprisingly, we don't see a lot more of Shan for the rest of this documentary.
She came back so disheveled, adamant about drinking. And right now, she's at her apartment considering selling items for no reason.
Now, the selling items to get money is kind of interesting to me. Will says there's no reason for it, okay? I'm not really sure exactly what's going on with all this. I think Will is kind of saying, like, there is money. The Guardian is providing money. It's just, it's not as much as what Wendy wants. You know, she wants money to go out and buy alcohol, to spend lavishly. And, you know, the guardian is not allowing that. So she really doesn't need to sell these items. And yet Wendy's kind of like, I'm going to sell everything. And I think Will has a lot of concerns about what she's even up to with all of that. And then as well, Will makes it clear he believes Wendy came back from her trip to California just assuming and deciding that she was going to drink whatever she wanted to. And any progress that had been made before that, or Will felt was made before that, was down the toilet.
At this point, all they've done is keep me and Kevin away and keep her focused on work.
The next segment of the episode is really focused on like how the family is back in Miami, really concerned about Wendy, and they're, in my opinion, expressing all the right things. They're saying like they want to help take care of Wendy. They want her to stop working. They think it's time for her to stop working. They want her to have access to her money to be able to spend, you know, how she wants to, but also wisely. Kevin Jr. is very devoted to the idea that his mom should not be drinking. He wants her to eat a vegan diet and live a healthier lifestyle. So from my point of view, I mean, they are saying the kinds of things most of us would want to have happen for Wendy.
Wednesday,
yeah,
I'll be back on TV.
Today is Wednesday.
I mean, it's not working.
All right, friends, and that's the end of episode 3. In the next episode, the finale, episode 4, Wendy goes home to Miami to meet with her family, and we learn a lot more about what's happened in the past, where her family is coming from in relationship to wanting to help Wendy, and how Wendy is really pushing back about a lot of it. And then we end the entire docuseries with some pretty astounding revelations. I hope all of you will join me again tomorrow as we head down another rabbit hole.